Hello and welcome to my presentation for LCM05 from Research to Policy. Quick bit about myself. I've been an IT teacher for 5 years, a pastoral leader of Year 7. I'm also a lead verifier of the BTEC Creative Media course and a role as an e-learning coordinator. My place of research is 1116 Catholic Academy, socially diverse, 70% ethnic minority set in a deprived area. 2 recent inspections, one Ofsted which was good, and the Section 48 was rated outstanding. Since the move to the new campus over 3 years ago, this school has done a massive large investment within ICT. Okay, so straight on to the research question. So my research question is, what are the barriers to a student accessing a VLE? I want to find out the benefits of a VLE, why barriers exist, and in comparison to other online resources. My reasons to research: to investigate a problem area, to improve teaching and learning, to implement change, and to improve my own knowledge. So here's a little picture of some key terms. Some of the main ones you look at are the VLE, stands for Virtual Learning Environment, basically a digital workplace where students can access at school and at home. Fronter, which is the current VLE product that the school uses. Edmodo, a type of VLE. And the next one you want to look at is the GUI, which is a graphical user interface, basically how you interact with a piece of software, drop-down menus, buttons and things like that. Okay, so the current situation. A 2007 Vector report, Vector is a British Educational and Communication Technology Agency, stated that all learners should have access to a personal learning learning space by 2008. Because of this, the local authority the school is in bought into Fronter. They gave all schools in their jurisdiction some funding to help them put that into place, which this school took a part of. The lead change agent of the Fronter within the school left a year or so into the implementation of the Fronter, and the school also now pays £8,000 a year to use Fronter. Okay, so going to my key findings. First, obviously, as a VLE is one of the main issues you can access at home, I want to find out, is access at home a problem? So I surveyed 117 Year 7 students, and as you can see, 98% have access to a computer at home and internet at home as well. This kind of goes into the same thing as Vector's 2010 Harnessing Technology School Survey, where they said 83% of secondary students should have access to a home computer. Now, as I was going through this, I had some preconceived ideas about what I thought could be the issues for students accessing a VLE. Many teachers that I talked to said about the GUI was poor and it was hard to navigate through the whole system, and I thought students might have these same problems. My research indicated this wasn't generally the first problem that I thought. I surveyed 49 students in years 9 and 11, and actually found Fronter quite easy to use. As you can see, 23 of them said they found it quite easy to use. 30 did find it quite difficult, but most of them found it quite simple to use. And as you can see, only 31% found it hard to use, which I thought would be a lot higher. So after the conversations with students and teachers as I go along, it started to come out to me that teachers were saying they don't actually use Fronter or a VLE within their teaching. So from here I had a slight change in focus, where instead of just the students, I wanted to look at teachers as well. Now, as the teachers also said they don't use it, what bigger barrier than students using it, because the teachers aren't using it. So my research question changed from student and teacher perceptions of accessing a VLE. As Belle says, my objectives can change as you go through the whole research process. And Wes Burnham said in a recent lecture at St Mary's University that you should really write your question last when you do this research. So, onto my policy proposal. The main one is, the first one, which was a switch of VLEs from Fronter, the current one, to another one called Edmodo. I want to appoint champions of e-learning with each learning zone, the e-learning coordinators and the champions of different learning zones to monitor and assess their implementation, by monthly meetings, getting feedback from teachers and students, how it works. And obviously you need to provide training for all staff and extra training for staff who are going to be these e-learning champions. There are 6 learning zones within the Reach Out School, and the champions within each one, person they go to find out any problems. So, because of my switching focus, I also did a survey for teachers. Out of the 86 teachers in the school, 44 responded to my questionnaire. Some of the main things about the switching from Edmodo to Fronter was that Fronter actually costs a lot of money. It costs £8,000 a year. With no one using it, it's kind of a wasted resource. And as you can see, 44 out of the 44 teachers said they don't actually use it. Some of the main reasons why: 43% said they had time to use it, and 33% didn't know how to use it. Encouragingly, 10% here said they didn't think it benefited their students from their class, which is quite encouraging for me. So why the switch? One of the e-learning coordinators was going through a few ICT blogs and forums, trying to get ideas for his own teaching, and come across Edmodo. It was said to be easy to use, easy to set up, so we decided to have a look. It's also free, unlike Fronter. It's free. It's an American company, and make money from using apps. But the basic structure of Edmodo and its VLE uses are free of charge. So we thought we'll have a look. We took a look. We thought, yeah, it looks good. It looks easy to use. It's pretty sound, and it also resembles a popular social networking site, which I thought was quite a good thing. We trialled it with various teachers in different learning zones, and I interviewed 2 teachers from those learning zones to gauge an understanding of what they thought about it. As you see, teacher A here said it was less structural development to Edmodo, unlike Fronter, where in Fronter you have to design your own rooms yourself. Edmodo is very much there for you, all structured for you. It also has a very familiar taste of popular social website, which is good for students and for himself as well. Teacher B said Edmodo is much easier to use, which is obviously one of the main problems that come from my research, and it takes up a lot less time. So no time, and don't know how to use it. 2 big points there. This Edmodo was presented to the Teaching and Steering Learning Group within the school to gauge what their thoughts was, and their thoughts again were very, very positive. Teacher C thought it was much easier to use and less hassle to set up. Again, more points here, which they want. I don't use the current VLE. Also, it's a good point here. This teacher said it's very generic, so there's not really an issue with some of the rooms being better than others. So Edmodo is very structurally there. As I said, like Fronter, you have to design your own rooms yourself. Teacher D also said how easy it is to use and access, and in relation to Fronter, Teacher D also carried on that it's very user-friendly. The prescribed structure outweighs the negatives of designing Fronter, again as I said, and it's very, very useful for students as well. So it's a quick snapshot of Edmodo. You've got the ball in the middle there, so you can see how similar it is to Facebook. There's a screenshot of Facebook there. So I carried on my research by getting an understanding of what they like and don't like about each one. As you can see here, same questions were asked about Fronter and Edmodo about what they like about it. Numbers are quite low here about what they like about it, and you can see here there was an option to choose that none of the options were what they wanted. Here on the Edmodo, much more large numbers, and only one student said they didn't think any of the options about what they like about it was appealing to them. Similar sort of question again, but what they don't like about Fronter and Edmodo. Again, what they don't like about Fronter was, again, the numbers were quite high, and only seven said that they don't think any options were necessary. Edmodo, numbers were very low about what they don't like about it, and also that none of the options above were, in fact, they could relate to Edmodo, and they were a very positive point there. A very pointless graph here, but it just shows you that I also asked a question in that questionnaire, which was aimed at 28 Year 9s. Which VLE would you prefer to use? And all 28 said Edmodo. I also gave them the option at the end of the questionnaire to write down what they thought, why they liked that particular VLE. And it's the same sort of reasons again. I said lots like Facebook, it's easier to use, easier to communicate with classmates and teachers, the structure is easy to use, again Facebook again, and student G down here talks about how its frontal is difficult to hand in work and to navigate around. Again, talking about the GUI again. So, the second point of my policy was to champions v-learning. Now this graph doesn't technically relate to it, but in my questionnaire to teachers, 80% said they would use the current VLE if they had a dedicated member of staff to help them administrate it and upload things. So these champions could help out with that. Also, the training, again, the teachers to the questionnaire said 70% would like more training on it, which shows quite a positive thing towards actually using a VLE in general. So the benefits of VLE, it's lots of benefits to a VLE. Promotes collaboration, independent learning, attainment tracking, instant access to teaching materials, and it's available 24/7. The Joint Information System Committee, which was a committee set up in 1996 by the Secretaries of State, highlight the VLE points. Okay, it's got communication tools, assessment tools for quizzes and electronic submissions, storage of documents, administration of things and things like that. And this is what the VLE can help do. And as what the teachers said they would use it for: homework, activities, storage of documents. Not so much for communication, but there's some things to work on. Kingswood in 2010 and Ainsworth and Amy's in 2008 comment about how it's available 24/7 inside school and outside school. Berry also talks about that, and as well as Lucky and Essel talk about how it can be extended into the home and where parents can can look at what their students are doing as well and take a bit more of an active role. Angela and David again talk about the fact that it supports differentiated learning, the fact that auditory learners can download podcasts, visual learners can look at videos, and kinesthetic learners can activate quizzes and games throughout this, which all the teachers will set up. Again, Angela and David talk about the fact that with all their grades and levels, parents can access that same information as well. And again, Angela and David talk about that a VLE can also, they recommend it can revolutionise education in many schools. Ofsted do point out the dangers of it, where it can be a place where teachers can just dump documents and not use it for its full potential, and that's what we've got to guard against. Okay, resource implications. Teacher competence in ICT is going to be a tricky one. Obviously, more traditional teachers might have trouble with it. Time of embedding the new VLE and training staff is going to take time. Teachers from the first implementation of the VLE, when they implemented Fronta, it didn't work. Everyone knows it didn't work, as they don't use it, and they might be thinking, is it going to do the same thing again? A quick timeline. Obviously, the assessment of the trial of motor needs to carry on and continue. We've already had the Teaching and Learning Steering Group presentation, meetings with SLT discuss the possible implementation of it, and meetings with heads of learning zones to discuss the possible champions, and hopefully training of those champions. One of the teachers that I interviewed also said that worksheets could be handy for training materials used for it, as well as the training. And for as long as this implementation goes ahead, training from September 2013, which will be ongoing, and then the monthly meetings with the champions to see how it's working. So there is going to be a resistance to change. Education goes through a lot of change itself. Bridget Summerford talk about the fact that when change comes down from above and it threatens their practice, there might be in token compliance. Durant and Holden also talk about that top-down change can provoke loss of self-esteem. Busher makes reference to Plant about the fact that could be fear and lack of confidence and lack of skills when you talk to change, and Kelly and Farrell also refer to this in relation to VLE, where VLE navigation and interface, the GUI, could stop them from using it. Bottery 2004 and Harris 2008 also raised the points about where staff taking on this extra responsibility for no reward could be a problem. The assistant principal that led the change from the current VLE to Fronter left soon after implementation. There was very little monitoring and assessment that could have been contributed to the downfall of the popularity of the VLE. This is highlighted by Karen's implementation gap, where you've got the plan or the change and the school and the board staff and students using and trying to embed this change, but there's no monitoring of how it works. If those two are together and you've got consistent monitoring and assessment of the problems and that can happen, then that change is being managed appropriately and it could be more successful. The culture of the school, as Dylan Bush says, it's just the way we do things around here. Bush also indicates that formulating strategy and the introduction of policy needs to be sensitive to the values and beliefs of staff. Now, with 8 main ICT suites, every classroom has a PC, many more laptops, interactive whiteboard in every classroom, other standalone PCs and Macs and laptops everywhere. The school's invested heavily in ICT and staff will use ICT throughout their teaching, maybe even apart from the PE staff. So it's very much, I think, within the culture of the school. Communication. Again, very, very important. West Burnham et al. Advocates the fundamental need for communication, where they claim communication is fundamental to successful change. Open, sophisticated networks engaging in rich conversation and dialogue are elemental to securing understanding and commitment. This is where my e-learning champions come in, where they will discuss things with their learning zones and myself with the monthly meetings to make sure things are happening. This can lead on to the Kaizen model highlighted by Trailer in 2003. Empowerment of people, where the power flows through as many capillaries as possible, and everyone is part of this change. A bottom-up bottom-up change is valued, although not technically a bottom-up change. It is coming from within and not coming from top down, which might have more change and acceptance there. Also, the tinkering to solve the problems that might happen within the software, within the implementation of the new VLE. With these e-learning champions, a dispersed leadership style is very, very useful. It empowers more people. As Harris and Moody there, and Harris again, it talks about working collectively to guide other teachers within the process of change. Now, as a practitioner, action and researcher, I'm taking a very hands-on approach to this change. It also deepens my own reflection on practice towards problem posing, problem solving and professional development, as Anderson et al. Says. It's very important that this carries on and doesn't stop at the research process. It carries on after, if implementation goes ahead, that it carries on going. So, future orientation is monitoring and review, constant and consistent monitoring, use and feedback. Champions of e-learning will need to be met with each month to discuss how it's going and how their learning zones are using it. The champions to take over the drive of the VLE, if in case anything else happens, and obviously inset training to be used as VLE training, and hopefully as much training as possible. So, is the policy valid? The change of VLEs from Francis Mano is the big one. Student perceptions, the research that I've conducted suggests that they find Edmodo easy to use, they think Edmodo is a more pleasing GUI, and it's easy to communicate with peers and teachers. The teacher perceptions, my research suggests, is that, again, Edmodo is easy to use, which is a point that they made. It takes less time to set up, and it's free to use, which will please the SLT. Other literature research suggests that it's valid open 24/7. It promotes independent learning, it promotes collaborative learning, it's got differentiated learning involved in it, and it has assessment tools with instant feedback. You've also got that area where they can use it at home, and parents can take more active role within what they are doing. So that's it. That's my references.